Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, it's a super exciting one. I'm finally adding a unicorn to my collection that I've been after for about 2.5 years. And I'm happy to report it's in this box. Now, if you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I have my collections. So we have my team associated RC10s, basic range, not finished, but getting there. Then we have a few Tamias, a few key Tamias that I really like. And then we mix it in with a few Schumachers that I've got. And then over this side, we've got some vintage and re-released Kyosho cars mixed in with the odd Yokomo. And then down the bottom here, I have Team Losi. Now, Team Losi has been the last kind of group of cars that I've dabbled in a little bit. And the reason is because in the UK, Team Losi vintage stuff is almost impossible to find. And even if you can find it, it's usually ragtaggy, messy, well used, worn out, sat in a damp environment in someone's garage for God knows how many years, and then very expensive. Now, obviously, there's more in America, but because of Brexit and imports and government money grabbing, importing anything from America is ridiculously expensive now, as well as shipping anything around the world seems to cost an absolute fortune. So importing good examples can get very expensive, and even in America they demand good money anyway. So I have been looking for 1 or 2 unicorns in the UK for ages. I'm always on the look, as I'm sure a lot of you are, and I managed to find one. But not only did I find one, it's in immaculate condition. It's been fully restored. It's beautiful. Anyway, I think that covers enough of me waffling on. And yes, it is a Team Losi, but which one is it? So yes, for me, this is definitely a holy grail car, as you just don't see them in the UK. Now, I have to say, I have had a quick squiz at this before, but I was really chuffed to see how it was put together and how it was put in the box. He also gave me some other bits and pieces that we'll look at afterwards, so we can check those out. And that was totally nothing to do with me buying this. He actually said, do I want some extra bits and pieces? And obviously, being Team Losi in the UK, any part is a hard part to find. And it's this, the beautiful JRX2, originally released in 1988. Let's just get the spoiler on it. That's not the easiest thing to do, because you've got to drop it into the tubes, just like you would an RC10, for instance. So there you go. But look at the condition of it. It is absolutely beautiful. And it's one I've been after for so long. And Losi brought out the mini version of it, which I've got over there. And they said they were never going to release the 1/10, which I think is such a crime. But this one is in beautiful condition. It has been run, but only a small amount. You can see it's got a little bit of marking on there. Now, this is where I could do with your help. I'm not sure if this chassis is from the JRX or it's from the JRX-T. I think it might be because it's a little bit longer. Also, it's got some extra holes drilled into the center here, which basically allows the battery tray area to move forward and backward. Now, I did have a look on both cars in the manuals and it didn't have that, so it looks like someone's drilled through that. Now, I'm not personally that bothered, as the chassis is in really good condition anyway, and I don't plan on running it. Also, there seems to be another drill hole for mounting the servo at the front, so I'm not sure if that matches up with what I saw from someone else who had a JRX2, and I'll put an image up here so you can see. So this is Team Losi's first RC, the JRX2 1988 two-wheel drive, and it's the A001 carbon graphite plate, 5-link rear suspension, ball diff, plastic telescopic universal drive shafts, bearings all round, and it's oil front and rear. Now, it came with an STS racing motor, but I had a quick look, but I couldn't find anything about it. But we'll see if we can get something a bit more in keeping with the car, as well as I'll need to find some vintage electronics for it. But as you can see, it's in lovely condition. It's all been fully restored. I'll need to source a new front bumper for it, as this one is 3D printed. So just to find these is just so hard in the UK, but to find them in this kind of condition, the arms are all good, you know, there's no damage on them. Really, really chuffed, and I just never thought I was going to find one, or the one I'm going to end up with is going to be so ropey that it wouldn't really be up to the level of being a shelf queen in my collection. Now, I think these tyres are wrong. I think this is from a slightly later version. Now, the whole history, backstory to these was obviously there was this one, and then Team Losi in 1989, I think it was, dropped the TRX-T, which is the truck version. Then what came after this was the JRX Pro in 1990 on A0020. That was a longer chassis with a different kick-up. The front towers and shocks were longer. Also, it had a ball diff, and they moved the shocks behind the rear tower. And after that came the Junior 2. Now, the Junior 2 had a totally different chassis. It changed to a plastic chassis, and that was in 1990. Sorry, cheat sheets down here. At the same time, the Junior T, which was the truck version, came out in 1991. Now, the Junior 2 was A0030 and A0031, depending on whether it had bearings or not. The Junior T, the truck version, was A0060 or A0061. After that, we went on to the 1992, which was the JRX Pro SE. That was A0021. There was 14 new component changes, apparently. H-arm suspension, ball diff, and a whole other load of bits and pieces. I don't have one of those. I think I would really like to get hold of an SE, but it really is potluck in the UK what you can find and the condition you can find it in. There's no perfect ones out there, really. It's hard to find any parts for them, so you've got to buy the best ones you can. Now, obviously, while I've been making this video, I've been looking into this car a lot more, and it's definitely got, I think, the JRX-T chassis, because it's longer at the front going on this body. But I honestly don't mind. It's in really good condition. I can live with that. Obviously, I'll keep an eye out for a JRX chassis, or there is some aftermarket ones. I have seen some of these in carbon. Now, if I could get hold of a carbon one of these, I would swap it out for this. Also, I did see one where they can do it in this dry carbon or whatever this material is, so I will keep an eye on one. And this is the kind of thing that when you're restoring it or just trying to take it to the next level, it can take years for little bits and pieces to turn up. But I'm really happy with it. I didn't even think I was going to get anything as close as this. So there we go. As well as I'll try and find the correct tyres. Anyway, let's have a look at the little bits and pieces that I actually got with this car. So the first we got is a set of tyres. Let's open it up. And a few other little bits, I think. So I think there's a spur gear cover. So we've got some white rims. Not sure if these tyres are from any other version, doesn't say anything on them, and they are part worn, but hey. And then we've got a spur gear cover there as well. Then we've got these bits, which I've actually looked at before. Now, these look like the parts that you would need to build up a JRX-T. That's the front bulkhead, and I think that's the rear one. And then you've got the side mounting plates, which do match the actual screw holes in that. So maybe these came with that chassis when it was originally a JRX-T. So it's interesting to have that. I would like to get a JRX-T, so I will sit on these parts. These look like they're kind of plastic, but also polycarbonate. So I think there might be bits of polycarbonate, and they've got all the bolts as well. Interesting one. Then we've got, it says Losi shocks on it. So we've got a few bits and pieces. We've got some new, which look like new alloy housing, and a couple of springs. Not sure if that's front or rear. Then we've got another part, which is brand new. Double O-ring shock cartridge, front and rear. And then we've got another shock body, hard anodized coating. So obviously that's for a different model. Got another one. Then we got a whole bag. Now these look to be slightly longer, so I'm not sure whether these are the ones that you would put on the JRX-T. It's a whole bag of bits and pieces and some springs as well, so I honestly don't know, but it's nice to have them. And then in this one we have some decals. Not sure if these are original or these are from like MCI Racing or something like that. I haven't actually looked in here to see what you've got. JRX Pro, look like aftermarket ones. Then we've got some front wheels. Now the thing that I noticed is these are very orange, when the ones that are actually on the car are not as bright. So I don't know what that's about, if you know, because the ones on the car are more brown orange, where these ones are bright orange. I do like these more, but obviously there's no point putting these on because they're not going to match the rear ones. So maybe I need to find another set of rears. Not sure whether they are original but the colour's gone funny or what. I don't know enough. Then we've got a aftermarket which looks like a 3D printed front bulkhead. But the one on the car is actually an original, so I don't know whether this was on the car and then he managed to find an original one. We've got a tower. Is it the same size? Looks to be longer. So this looks like a tower that belongs to a JRX-T, which kind of all fits in. And then we've got another set of body mounts. So it looks like maybe this car did start off its life as a JRX-T. And we've got a H-arm set. Obviously that's for a later version. Another bracket, looks like a rear tower bracket of some sort. Some kind of kick-up shim for the front, maybe, guessing. And then we've got some spur gears. And then we've got another one here, which just says 90 on it. And then last but not least, we seem to have, what's this, a pinion? It does say on it, transmission pinion gear. And that's all the little bits that come with it. So if you're in the UK and you've got some mint JRX2 parts, get in contact with me at gavinevans@rckicks.com, as I will take them off your hands for some cash. Anyway, thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I am so excited to have this in the collection.